Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the full moon in Aquarius for 2020, happening on August 3rd, 2020 at 11:58 a.m. if you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States. This is one of my favorite full moons that I have seen so far this year. It is wonderfully poised to help us clarify what we need to do in order to individually really step into our power and step into our light. It's a highly revelatory full moon. There's a lot of things being able to be revealed under the light of this full moon. And there's also a bit of faith, hope, and optimism in this full moon, as we'll explore in some of the transits here. So let's go ahead and get into them. Some of the transiting energies, let's get into them. The first thing that I can really see here, let me pull out my annotation tool for us to work with. We've got, right, here's the full moon down here at the 11th degree of Aquarius, right? But this full moon is also squaring Uranus out here. And here's Uranus at the 10th degree of Taurus. Uranus tends to represent in mundane astrology surprises and things coming to light kind of in a haphazard or unexpected way. Uranus can also represent the divine and divine energy coming down to commingle with us and co-create with us. With a Uranus square to Sun and Moon, what we have is an energy of, the Uranus bringing forward and illuminating things under the full moon that we have previously been missing, but were right in front of our face. That's saying, if it was a snake, it would have bit me. That's the kind of thing that's starting to come forward and come to light under this full moon. It's truths that are obvious, truths that have been staring us in the face, but also truths that we have actually been hanging out in a blind spot. And the Uranian energy gives us access to the blind spot that we so often miss and allows us to peek into the corners and the recesses of our mind and of our lives to be able to see, oh, that's why I've been acting this way. Got it. Got it. Or, oh, that's why that person is like this. Okay, interesting. So expect that there will be some information that comes to light. For some of you, this may specifically be about finances and some recognition about where you're at financially, because Uranus is sitting in a sign having to do with money. And that it's more specifically about where you're at in relationship to where you want to be and what needs to happen in order for you to get there. There's also, speaking to this full moon, a trine to the planet Juno, who's also in an air sign. Our full moon is in air sign Aquarius. And speaking harmoniously in air sign Libra, we have the partnership asteroid. But that partnership asteroid at the moment, she's a bit uncomfortable in the sky. She's a bit under fire by a lot of really challenging energy over here in the sign of Aries, which we're going to cover in a minute. But Aries is the sign of the self. Libra is the sign of the other for partner. And because she's so uncomfortable and, dare we say, triggered, this is a very triggering energy, this stuff happening over in Aries. She's not necessarily lending some of her best to this full moon. I will say that the way she is lending her best, because with the trine, you do get the planet's best energies coming forward. The way she is lending her best is by providing fuel for self-examination. fuel and recognition of where she can be and where we can be more accountable in our relationships for the ways that they're going. And because this full moon is in Aquarius, and Aquarius is about the greater good of the people around us and that we're connected to, there will be some revelations with this full moon about, okay, there's some things I need to do to be a better me for the people that I'm connected to, and to be able to reach a lot more of my goals, hopes, and dreams. And so that's a really helpful energy, although it's going to come through feeling triggered at first. It will come through recognizing or kind of surprise lights going on a blind spot. Wow, I didn't realize I was compromising myself this way. Even though it comes through the vehicle of shock, surprise, shame, guilt, fear, even though it comes through one of those vehicles, it's via those vehicles that we actually regain access to our personal power. By confronting what's so, we get to have access to what we can actually do about it. But it's when we try to sweep it under the rug, pretend it's not there, turn the other way, that's when we give up our power, and it then can control us like puppet strings instead of allowing us to direct our lives consciously. And so this energy of, our feminine energies being very triggered in our partnerships, this is an opportunity for us to go, oh, okay, yes. Okay, yeah, I see where I can work here. Got it. And I can get to work now. The last big aspect for this full moon is here is Chiron here, right? And let's see, at the 9th degree, yep, sextile the full moon, but also trine the sun. And with Chiron speaking so directly to these energies, what we have here is an illumination of where we've been wounded in our groups, in our friend groups, in our family groups, and our extended groups, and a big motivation to heal and close cycles of self-sabotage and our connecting with other people. And so you may, really realize as you've walked toward this full moon, oh, okay, little quiet realizations within yourself why you feel the way you feel in certain connections. Well, there's a wounding in there that this particular full moon is revealing to you for healing. And that's excited. This full moon, I would probably say more than any other that I've seen so far this year, is a full moon about homecoming and about coming home to ourselves and who we really are, as opposed to who we pretended to be. Whether we meant to pretend to be someone else or not, this full moon is showing us the truth of where we're at, why we're there, and what we can do about it. So let's get into some of the other aspects. These are just the aspects talking to the moon itself. Let's get into some of the other ones. We've got one of my other favorite energies here is North Node conjunct Venus in Gemini. And this is also speaking harmoniously to the creation goddess here in Libra. This air sign energy is bringing forward to our consciousness what we're created to, what we are committed to creating, creation goddess, in our partnerships. That's Libra, and the Venusian energy, the Venus conjunct the North Node. The North Node is where we're all pulled toward the lesson. We're all pulled toward learning. And when a planet speaks to the North Node, we're getting that planet's energy in that sign. We're talking about the sign of communication and the planet of value, having a productive conversation with the creation goddess in the sign of partnership. So This is an energy of recognizing, what do I really value in my partnerships? What is actually important to me? And recognizing A, where there are some gaps based on everything we just talked about, but B, also what it is we can do about it. What can we create? What can we do in order to have a different experience in our partnerships and one-on-one relationships? Then we have Chiron opposite the shaman's asteroid. So here is our friend Chiron here, and here's our shaman's asteroid here. And this is also, remember, the sun and the moon are speaking to Chiron as well. But when you add the shaman's asteroid into the mixture of the energies already going on between these three, which are all about recognize the wound, recognize what's triggered, recognize what we can do about it. The shaman's asteroid energy has really been about recognizing the gold in our journey that we've been on in our relationships. You know, as I was mapping this out prior to this conversation, that song, "You Can't Always Get What You Want," came to mind. And the reality is that's life. You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you might just get what you need. And that's a great deal more valuable than what it is our conscious mind thinks we want. Getting what our soul truly needs is something that is what allows us to evolve on planet Earth. So, with the shaman's asteroid speaking to this combination in opposition to Chiron, the shaman's asteroid is saying, recognize this is a journey. Recognize the wounding for what it is, something to be healed, a place to create mastery. Honor that this is a process and you'll be just fine. And honor that there's wisdom in the wound. That's the other thing. There's wisdom in our woundings. And if we can honor the fact that there is a wound there and what it has been teaching us, we can become masterful in the way we move forward, instructing other people and creating our own lives in more constructive ways as well. We've got Mercury conjunct Vesta in this lunation as well. They're also opposite Saturn conjunct Chariklo. I love this energy too. This combination is extremely hopeful and exciting because there's a revelation here of our emotional commitment with the Mercury and Vesta. Vesta is about commitment, Mercury is about mind, but they're both sitting in the emotional sign of Cancer. So we've got emotional commitment and acknowledgement of it. We are now conscious of it. To our new boundaries, and that's that Saturn and Chariklo piece opposite it in the chart. And mental clarity about what those boundaries are, what they need to be, how we've allowed the structures and structures at work and in relating with those we love to compromise those boundaries so that we can actually make new choices. So that's just, I don't know, I find that very exciting because it's like, oh yeah, listen, look how I've been letting y'all run all over my toes. We ain't doing that no more. Nuh-uh. This is a real kind of putting our foot down kind of energy, but there's a grace to it. There's, an emotional sovereignty to it where it's a clarity about, okay, no, this is it. This is me. I'm at home in this body, in this life, and I can't keep letting people run all over my toes. That's just not going to work. So, beautiful energy there, but it comes out of having the triggering having occurred. It comes out of having, the energy of feeling a bit frustrated with the way things have been going down. This Eris and Lilith is kind of speaking in a square to this energy. Eris is righteous riot. Lilith is, nah, I don't think I want that deal. I'd rather take nothing than that. There's this energy of really recognizing where the line is here, and not being willing to, like, recognizing our back is against the wall and not being willing to take crumbs anymore, not being willing to take or play second fiddle anymore, or be willing to live a B plus life instead of living that A life that you know you're capable of. The other energy here, let's see. Yes, okay. Here's our friend Mars, who just, has been in Aries, doing his darndest to assist us with paying attention to those wounds, which is so lovely. Thanks, Mars. But we've got Mars sitting pretty darn close to that Lilith and Eris energy here. So these are all together, despite the distance you can see in them in their chart. They're all sitting between 5 degrees of one another. But they're also squaring Jupiter. Here's Jupiter. Mars square Jupiter down here in Capricorn. Conjunct Pluto and Pallas. Yeah. So here's Pluto and here's Pallas, both of them flanking Jupiter. I did not mean to make that look that way. My bad. Let me fix this. Oh, I'm tickled by myself. If somebody wants to give trackpad drawing lessons to me, I'm kind of open to it at this point because I can't draw. But let's go on into the energies. So squares give us more challenging energies. They bring forth the energy of motivation by showing us where we've been stuck. And so with the Pluto-Jupiter conjunction, this is the second one. We had it on June 30th. It colored the month of May. It colored the month of July. It colored the month of June. The Jupiter-Pluto conjunction really is an energy of kind of ego stripping and breakdown. And with the Mars squared to it with Righteous Riot and, no, I'm not going to take that deal. I don't think so. It's not going to work like that. There's a real energy in the collective that you're probably seeing when you're out and about at the grocery store, at the gas station, walking your neighborhood, bumping into people. There's a tension in the air as people are feeling extremely motivated to, quote, get mine and, quote, do it my way. And given the reason this is kind of there, if you can kind of track back with me with the experiences we've all collectively had on planet Earth, given everything that's been lost this year and all the costs that people have paid for those losses prior to this moment, there's a certain lifestyle everyone has lived prior to this. And the circumstances of 2020 has meant, yeah, we got to make adjustments. Some of us are seeing that as a loss. Some of us are seeing that as a win or, a change that's to be embraced. But given what has been lost this year and the cost we've paid to it, this tense energy for people who are really experiencing this as a loss has a real high probability of feeling like other people are stepping on our toes, or that we may even accidentally be crossing other people's boundaries without meaning to, given the very expansive nature of Jupiter and the extremely motivated nature of Mars and Pluto's very kind of like blow it all up, why not energy. And this square is having them work together to bring out one another's shadow energies. And you can see here that Pluto and Jupiter are retrograde. Pallas is protection, but because of this isn't necessarily let's protect everything good. This is about me. Me. Let me protect me. Let me protect mine. Let me get what we need for me in my house. There's a real, in the air, in the collective energy, a real kind of crackling around the tension and people being on a short fuse. And this will continue to ramp up as we move through Mars and Aries. And simultaneously, This is an energy that's stripping us all down to our purest self this year. This energy is showing you what you really value and prioritize, what really matters to you when the chips are down and all the cards are on the table and what you've got is what you're going to get. This particular energy is allowing you to peek behind the motivation curtain and recognize for yourself, okay, this is the truth of what it really is for me. I got it. This is what actually matters to me. Because we're all just getting forced out of our preferred roles. Like, you know, when the sun is out and, you know, I've got everything I need, then I'm a very nice, loving, caring person. Hee hee, I'm awesome. But with this kind of energy in the air, it's showing you, okay, who are you really? Who are you really when everybody in the grocery store is being a bit rude and pushy with their cart? Who are you really when, you know, you have to go to 2 different gas stations to get the gas you want? Who are you really when once again, you know, your ex is late with child support, or, you know, fill in the blank with whatever letdown 2020 has provided? Who are you really in the face of it? That's what this energy is helping us to see. And in recognizing that, we can kind of see, okay, no, I get it. My actual priority is to not be in the grocery store around a ton of people. I just don't like being around people like that. Or actually, I get it. You know, I don't like having to figure out gas midweek. I'm the kind of person who likes to have my stuff in the beginning of the week already laid out and handled. Or, you know what? I'm at that point with the ex where I need to not rely on them anymore. I don't know what's going on over there or why it's going on, but I need to never be in the position where I can't put food on the table because they're not paying child support. So I'm going to go make my business now. Thanks for showing me Aquarius Full Moon. I appreciate you. It's that kind of energy. So hopefully you can greet it with the lightheartedness that the Aquarian energy can sometimes have. Aquarian energy is like an iceberg. It's like you can see this, you know, pointy thing on the top of the water, but underneath it is very big and very deep. Most of the iceberg is underwater. And so that's a bit like the energy of this full moon. And this particular time period with all of our lunations going forward, with the Mars going through Aries, the energies here are a bit like the emperor has no clothes. It's an emperor has no clothes transit. That aspect and the energy of everything going on here in Aries, where the last aspect was this Mars square, this energy down here in Capricorn. But if we just focus on the pieces in Aries right now, there's a pronounced use of kind of self-assertive force energy to get one's own way going on, and a real desire to make other people responsible for the experiences that we're having if you're not conscious. So it's really important to take the extra time to be conscious about what's happening and how you're responding and how you're feeling about it. Because there's a high probability in some cases to really kind of take it too far to get our way, and then a retaliatory reaction with this energy. And some of you guys have really seen this. You know, we're witnessing this now with kind of governmental shutdown, absolute irresoluteness, absolute resoluteness, I should say, where there's just like, you mean none of y'all can bend? None of y'all can bend to do what's best for people? Really? Okay, I got it. I see what we're dealing with here. So here's the deal. Here's how to deal with this kind of energy and the way people are reacting and interacting. If you need to restate your boundaries, because that's this Saturn Cheroklo piece down here, restate them. But then after that, disengage. You said what you needed to say. If someone's dissatisfied with it, not happy about it, it doesn't work for them, that's not your problem anymore. Let it go. Let it go and tend to your garden. Focus on what you need and what's good for your boundaries, based on the true you when you are, being the best version of yourself. And that gives people around you the freedom and the permission to focus on the true them, to step into being the best version of themselves. And then where, on the flip side, where you recognize like, oh, wow, I probably really stepped on that person's toes, be generous with apologies, extremely generous. Be abundant with apologies. It takes nothing from you to honor that perhaps you may have stepped on someone's toes. I'm so sorry. Did I step on your toes? I didn't mean to do that. Generous with apologies, and then let go. Let people have their process. And that's a way to kind of navigate some of this more challenging energy. It's the thing about this is that, the triggers bumping against triggers in the collective can escalate very quickly unless someone backs away to work on their own stuff. And so, you do what you need to do to not suffer fools gladly. I mean, if you said something, if it's an I said what I said, and people are still acting like you never said it, it's time to disengage. And simultaneously, like, you don't need to go back and say it a third and a fourth and a fifth time. There's no need to escalate. This Capricorn energy that we've got going on down here, that's going to, both this Aries energy and this Capricorn energy are now going to cover, or color, I should say, the remainder of our year. And this wounded Mars in Aries can be a bit self-focused and just need attention and time and tending to our own wounds and our own garden. And the other thing I would say that you want to be mindful of, especially during this full moon, is to be really paying attention to where we're self-sabotaging by stretching ourselves too thin in the name of our dreams, and not even realizing that we're doing this in response to old wounds, to your sense of self, trying to prove some ghost of the past wrong. By overburdening yourself in the present. That's a kind of thing that can really happen with this energy as well, with the sun sitting in Leo, the sign of self-sovereignty, so much energy moving through Aries and so much energy moving through Capricorn, sign of the self, sign of work. There can be a real kind of self-punishing, like self-flagellation energy going on to try and make things better by overworking. Try to let that go. 2020 has already dealt so many a very painful, difficult, stretching, like adjusting to life hand. You don't need to make it even harder by strapping on ankle weights and carrying, added weight on your back. Give yourself some freedom to honor, that this wasn't, what's happening was unexpected, but it's showing you who you are, and you're brave enough. You're brave enough to meet who you are in the mirror. The last energy here that is assisting us with some of this is this Neptune sextile Jupiter, which I love. Because when Neptune and Jupiter speak harmoniously, like in a sextile the way they are, we have a chance for self-compassion and self-redemption if we're willing to look for it. We have to be willing to look for it. This isn't something that just will fall on our plate at this time. With the sextile, you got to do some work to get the benefit of the energy. So, there's a little extra faith. a little extra hope, a little extra optimism available to us with Neptune and Jupiter speaking to one another. With Jupiter retrograde, it's a little hard. I mean, Neptune's retrograde too, so this is more internal rather than something we might see on the external. So look for it inside yourself, best that you know how. And just be mindful that you're not utilizing this energy to fortify those blind spots that we talked about, because Jupiter and Neptune speaking together sometimes has a way of getting carried away with itself, where it's like, and yes, I am so perfect and everyone else is so wrong, and I will just flow with that storyline. Nah, not really. So have some self-compassion. Give yourself the gift of self-redemption. Recognize where you're doing enough. You really are. And also, so let yourself off the hook, but also let other people off the hook too. They're triggered. Let them be. It's okay. Don't engage with triggered people, though. It's not helpful. I will tell you that, especially if you're triggered yourself. So yeah, that's what I have to say about this particular moon. Like I said, it's one of my favorites because of it's exposing us to ourselves. And I always think the more you know about yourself, the more masterful you can be in the creation of your life. So if you'd like to book a personal reading, you can do so. See the description box below. There is a link in that description box to a website where you can book a personal reading. I would be so honored to read for you. We are currently booking into September at this point in time. And just so you're aware, if you're new to the channel, I typically do have a 4 to 6 week wait for getting a personal reading for me, whether it's recorded or live. It is typically minimum that amount of time. So it will never be likely sooner than that. So, map it out, put it in the budget. It's fine. We'll get to read when the time is right. And yeah, like I said, be easy on yourself and those around you. Sending you so much love, guys. And if you're new, please subscribe and definitely hit that like button. Thank you so much. Take great care. Bye for now.